We were singing bye bye, Miss American Pie. Drove my Chevy to the levee, but the levee was dry. Those good old boys were drinking whiskey and rye, singing, "This'll be the day that I die." Come on now, this'll be the day that I die. So, right next to the Fortress of Solitude Studios, from the farm fields of Valparaiso, Indiana, across the hallway, I'm up on the upper floor of the house of my Fortress of Solitude. Actually, this is my castle of love. It's surrounded by my financial moat, and the home office is my Fortress of Solitude Studios. And across the hall is my son's room. And currently, he is singing that song, playing guitar and singing it. And it's like I got a live concert going here. And I'm loving it because just a minute ago, he played my favorite country song of all time, which makes me a proud dada because he would have never discovered that song. I shouldn't say never, but he may have been influenced by my love of that song, Dixieland Delight by Alabama. So look those songs up if you want to have a good time. Now let's get right to it. It is January 30th. Tomorrow will be the last trading day of the Janu and the Airy. And where are we at? Hey, my 3 days in a row, all time highs 132.694. Hello. So I'm excited about that. I had a couple interesting trades today. You're probably not going to like them, but we will discuss them nonetheless. Looking up on the board, the TMF call doing well. It expires tomorrow. Currently, TMF is trading at 41 even. So there's still a chance pressure will be raining upon this position. If it is, I'm going to roll it out and up and just have a merry old time. My AGQ $40 calls are taking gas. AGQ currently at 41.38. But we still have 1 week and 1 day for this trade. And unfortunately for silver, I would imagine that this will be in a better position starting tomorrow because, Fridays are great days for the cartel to put a beat down on silver, gold. Although gold, they're having a hardest time in the world with gold. So I think they've been focusing most of their attention on silver and the miners lately, which brings me to this GDX. I'm going to call this a scratch off. It's kind of like I bought a bunch of scratch off tickets that I think I'll probably profit on, but currently I'm down $60 because I did buy 20 $39 strike put contracts for February 21st. So that would be OPEX in February. So watch this. That will turn into a profit sooner rather than it's probably as soon as tomorrow. I'm hoping that I did take some shorts today in metal. So I'm hoping that they're 1 day, maybe through the weekend to Monday day trades at all, because I'm still super bullish and long on gold and silver. And we'll look at the charts just to give you an idea of what I'm thinking and why I have taken a couple of short positions, which essentially become hedges in this scenario because I'm so heavily into the precious metals at this moment. The rest of these, this SLV looking amazing. It's like, hey, shouldn't you take that 25 grand? I'm not going to be even considering taking this until it's at least 50 grand, probably 75. Yeah, more like 75 grand. Then I'll consider selling that close. This one has to double. So 20 to 25, I'll be interested in closing those at that time. Here is where we stand. We're up $72,000 on the AGQ. Hello. Dust, this is a leveraged bear, 2 times bear on gold and silver miners, is up $208. I know it seems like I'm being very schizophrenic here, a little bipolar, but these are just short-term, super short-term trades. And I'm still very long on silver, although you should never be long on these leveraged ETFs because of decay. Over time, they basically reevaluate their debt and leverage every single day so that over time it just erodes on the capital. So it's a trading device. So I try to trade them. I have a tendency to stick into the trades that I'm most comfortable with, longer, such as AGQ and TMF. Yeah, TMF making my butt stink less, way less than before. And if you've been around, you saw that at one point I was down 65,000 on this position. And you see these right now coming down a little bit. J Dust, that's the junior miners, junior silver and gold miners. That is a bear on them as well. So that's that. I screwed something up earlier. I'll have to fix it, but I have like two screens to show you today's trades. There's our GDX scratch offs. Bought the $39 strike, 20 contracts. Why does that say 321? It should say 221. Sorry. Spent $1,821 on that. Dust bought 2,000 shares with an average of 50.08, and then J Dust 22.60. And just while I'm on this screen, no, I'll get a couple things on this screen. No, let's go to the charts. We'll do it live. We will do it live. Welcome to Amateur Hour here on the YouTube. Let's just see. This is why my current thesis is we're going to have a bit of a little bit of a pullback in gold and silver. I mean, look at that. If you've been looking at that's that. I think that's 5 up in one. So that should make you very excited if you are long silver. We're going to go 5 up total here. This is 1. What comes after 1? 2 in an Elliott wave theory. Where's 2 going? Down. So we should see an A, B, C down. How low will it go? I'm going to have to measure it all up. But that is the current thought and the reason that I went short on the silver and gold miners. But silver just looking beautiful right now. There is the breakout confirmed. Don't think for a second that the cartel is going to give up anytime soon. However, I will say if silver is probably from like 11 a.m. on, if silver is just making some moves north, that means the squeeze is on. I think it might be still a little too early for the big squeeze, but I'll be looking for that. If that's the case, I'll just get out of those shorts at whatever loss they're at. Otherwise, count on the cartel to try to suppress silver, gold and silver miners, and somewhat gold as well. But I know this was a mess, but I still left it on here. I just moved up the screen because look what it did. Hello, it got right into the box, right into the target box. And what has it done since then? Pulled back. So we're going to be looking for 3 waves, pull back on silver. That's why my shorts are just short-term trades. But that's this, like, and one of the questions we're going to go over, I had mentioned yesterday, a couple of really good YouTube comment questions. One of them was that he felt Fibonacci and Elliott wave or voodoo. And I 100% understand that. And that's what I felt in the very beginning. In fact, if you have been around a long time, you probably remember me calling it voodoo, black magic, all of those types of things, the magic 8 ball, all of that when I was first beginning to study Elliott wave theory. It is absolutely not an exact science. I'll get into it a little bit more when I read the questions off. But I mean, you can't make that up. You've seen this. I have not moved this. This box has been on there for 2 weeks. I obviously haven't monkeyed around with this, but look at that. Looks like Batman. Oh, the old Batman trade. Is that a thing? Does that not look like Batman? But look at that. Whoop. Hello. Hello. So I got to redo the gold. Did I mess with this? Nope. I'm going to call that our target. When we put that down, we got to the very top of the target box, and then it just basically blew the doors off. But this is, again, why I've gone short just for the short term. We're looking for an A, B, C down. Does this qualify as all of A? It might. It might. We'll see what goes on. But is there another leg down? There really does need to be. We want to see a corrective. So we've seen 5 up. We want to see a corrective 1, 2, 3, or A, B, C down before taking off again. And that's what I've put on the GDX. The counts looked pretty good as far as 5 up here. Now we're going to be looking for that ABC. It's just kind of meandering sideways now, but it did come off. Came off pretty nice off of that high, and it's currently at 39.53. And I went short at 30. It was at 39.57. So I'm down 4 cents, which then works in my favor on those shorts. USO still battling the pivot, but look at that. It's tapped it twice. Will it be 3 times a lady? We'll keep watching. Do not have any positions in oil at the moment. Still got the RS. I mean, these things still need to meet, in my opinion. So I think we still got maybe a little bit more south before we go up, but maybe. And then this has been looking real good, because look how it just hung around the white line, and now we're nicely above. We need to close above and then take off again from there. Target box still in play. I haven't moved it. Here's our yields. You see, the reason that TLT and TMF are up is because the bond yields are trending down. Not much, but they'll keep going down. Still haven't. I think I changed. Yeah, I changed it to 144. The 144 minutes. I still want to get a better looking chart here in the TMF. There's just too many gaps here that I'm concerned with. One of which we'd have to really get in here. Let's see. Still concerned because TMF and TLT love to fill gaps. So that gap, can we put a weird shape on there? How about a circle? Circle gets a square, Terry. Whoa, that's too big. We'll just put that on there. Hopefully it doesn't fill that gap, but it wouldn't surprise me if it did. Down here to like 39.46. But it's been battling. It's been staying above 40. It's at 41.02 right now. I like the cut of its jib. Bitcoin, hello. It's been spot on. Because what we would do here, you know the drill. I mean, look, we went right into that box. We weren't done. So we moved the box over. We'll even move it up just to the, look, we're just at the top of the 1618 extension. So from here, to continue to be bullish, we want to see 1, 2, 3 down. How far will it go? And it's not going lower than 100. Nope. So I'll measure it up before taking off. I think 125 is still in the cards for Bitcoin sooner rather than later. See how it plays out. SPX still right in that channel. It's pretty, I still, excuse me. I still think, hold on. Still think 6,200 plus is in the cards, but we're going to have to see how this thing, which way is it going to go? Which way is it going to go? It's got that moving average right down the middle there. So that's interesting. This played out exactly how we mapped it, how we graffitied it up, A, B, C, and look what it did since then. Take off. So we'll take this off and then I'll regroup. In fact, I'll just get rid of it and then we'll regroup. Uranium, we're spot on, but I didn't have the courage to take the trade because I was considering the trade right here. If it's, again, is it going this high on this move? I don't know. There's still going to be a downturn. Is this, are we still working on the third wave of 5 waves up to 3? I think so. Could be still working on 1. I'll get into closer on that. Don't, unless you really like uranium or have a firm grasp on it, it's very volatile. Very volatile. So be very careful. Now, tonight, Kelsey's Steakhouse, our friends Kevin and Holly. Haven't had dinner with them in, I don't know, 6-8 weeks. So we're going to head over to Kelsey's. It's really 5 minutes away from our house. We live out in the middle of nowhere, but close to everything as far as Valparaiso is concerned. Some things to consider when you're ever in town. If you want to come to town and buy me dinner at Kelsey's, I'll go with you. French onion dip there. French onion soup there. Hello. It's amazing. Excuse me. And so I'll definitely be looking for that. The seafood bisque on occasion is amazing. Other times, seafood bisque is tough. But French onion soup, yeah, they're on that. Mouth watering already. Their lake perch is really good, but I'll be looking at, where are you at? The prime rib. My son loves the prime rib. I like prime rib, but I don't love it. But you know what I'm saying? And I'll be looking tonight at the Delmonico ribeye. Yes, I will. If I'm really hungry, I'll be looking at the bone-in ribeye. So I would imagine it's going to be the Delmonico. It's huge. It's delicious, marbled, aged perfectly. Shrimp cocktail. Stacy's already told me we're getting the shrimp cocktail, which I do not argue with. I love shrimp cocktail, especially when they're big, monster, fresh, beautiful shrimp. Portobello mushroom, delicious. My wife loves scallops, but I like scallops, but I don't love them, so that probably won't be on the menu today. Again, my mouth is watering. I should stop. So that'll be the night. Kelsey's Steakhouse, Valparaiso, Indiana. Let's get to some comments here right quick. So here's Bullion John. Anybody's name who is Bullion John? That's for sure a friend of mine. Enjoyed this video. I like hearing stories about people and how they got to where they are. I also grew up with this drive to make enough money to not have to worry about where my next meal is coming from. And like you, I am now not worried. Money does indeed solve all of your money problems. Money rule number one. GDX taking a dip, just like we said. I think your swing trading philosophy is really working well, and I appreciate the candid discussions about how you set up your trades. I really feel like Fibonacci and Elliott Wave stuff is witchcraft. I get it, but it does seem to work for you, so I may have to look into it more. Just believe me when I tell you, looking into it is very tough. I've made this analogy before, but it was like ninth grade when I had geometry and I had zero interest in it. It became very difficult for me. And geometry has, they called theories or theories, I believe. Oh, and if you weren't paying attention, which I wasn't, then you just got further and further behind. And like I had said before, if my teacher hadn't been one of my coaches, I'm not sure I may have gotten a D minus instead of that C plus that I got in that class. And so Fibonacci is actually not that difficult to understand. And what I like to think about when it comes to Fibonacci is a tree, because Fibonacci is about geometrical, there's that word, geometrical shapes and patterns. Okay. And I like to think of a tree. When you think of a tree and a branch is essentially another tree. When you look at the shape of it and the fact that it essentially is a smaller version of a tree, because what does a nice branch have? It has more branches, smaller branches. What comes off the end of the smaller branches? Leaves. Have you ever looked at like taking a close look at a leaf? It has a bunch of fractals that look like trees. Hello. Oh my God, GDX is dumping. Hold on. Oh, silver getting hammered. They're coming after it early. They like to do it right before close. Anyway, we'll get back to that in 1 second. Another thing I like to think of when it comes to Elliott wave and Fibonacci is waves. When you think of, I was just on at the Pacific Ocean in Mexico, and what the waves are predictable. They come in, they go out, high tide, low tide. When we were in Yellowstone, summer of 23, when we did our big West tour, the Badlands, Devil's Tower, Tetons, Yellowstone National Park. If you've never been there, you need to do it this summer. You go to Old Faithful. They can tell you within minutes of when that thing is going to spout off again. Why? Because of Elliott waves. I know, it's scary. So take a look, study it, stick with it. I was so frustrated for the first few months because I was like not understanding any of it. But Fibonacci, way easier to start with as far as understanding. And I know a lot of technical traders will use Fibonacci. I don't know a bunch that use Elliott Wave, but those two together have worked for me, and only in one regard: probabilities, just probabilities. And that's why, and this will, you know what, I'll save that for a second. I was going to say that's why, but it goes to another question coming up, and I think it's right here. So thank you, Bullion John for the question. Here's another John. John's Fishtails. Lots of nuggets here to unpack, Bart, and I'm learning a lot from you. I have a couple of questions if you might be willing to answer them in a video. Oh, hey, let's do it right now. We'll do it live. I'd like to know what led you towards taking the approach of running a much more concentrated portfolio of oil, gold, silver, and Bitcoin. So many others chasing the Mag 7, for example, and you're killing it. My biggest fear is sizing up too much, which in the end hurts my returns. Since I'm taking on smaller risk, I'm also getting smaller returns. The key word, though, is returns, because being a trader it's the hardest, easiest job on the planet. Write that down. It is very, very difficult, especially emotionally, from the psychological standpoint. It is very difficult. But the key word to your sentences here are returns. So if you're consistent with returns, then just add a little bit, add a little bit. You don't have to double down. You don't have to push all in. But you need to have a what do they call it? An edge, a trading plan, something that you believe in that is proven to be working, and And I just became naturally attracted to oil, gold, silver, and Bitcoin. I don't know why. If you look back at old videos, I was trading everything, anything and everything. If you've never watched TJ the Wheel Deals channel, you need to check him out. He's a way better options trader than I likely will ever be. And I was being influenced by some of his positions, some of his trades. And I'll be honest with you. And TJ, if you ever watching this video, I don't watch, I almost watch none of his videos anymore. And it's not because they're not entertaining. They are. Is it because they're not educational? They are. He's great. But it's, as a human being, we're influenced by what's around us, what we are taking in, the information. Um, we will always be influenced by those around us. And so I was chasing everything. I was trading Enphase and SoFi and Palantir and of course Tesla and all the go-to stocks that you hear about on FinTwit, etc., and all the CNBCs and all the other stuff. But I started to dabble in oil, and that kind of hooked me. And gold and silver, I've always had an affinity for it, just because it's a precious metal. I still consider it real money. GDX trying to make a comeback. Just giving you play-by-play. So, to answer your question, one, a more concentrated portfolio. If you, again, look back on, I've been on YouTube trading for essentially my whole trading career. So if you look, I don't know, maybe summer of 23 and just look at how many options and how many positions I had, I just could not keep track of them. And I could really focus with the Fibonacci and the Elliott wave on the oil, the gold, the silver, the Bitcoin. And I look at it all, from an ETF, from a market perspective. I almost never look at individual stocks anymore because I don't want a bad tweet by Elon Musk to mess up a day of trading just because of what he said. But he will do that for sure. So that's why I enjoy a smaller portfolio, and the reason that I've been attracted to essentially commodities. I consider Bitcoin a commodity. It's kind of like, digital gold, as they say, and it is here to stay. Will it have a big downturn at some point coming up? Yes, but I think, and it may have a big downturn and then pop off to 125. But it's just volatile, and you got to be careful with it. But as far as silver, I think silver is going to be the gold standard, no pun intended, for 2025. I still have that thesis, and I'm sticking to it. So I'm also curious as to what led you to study fibs and Elliott wave for technical analysis. Thanks for the vids, and I hope you have a great year. Thank you. I hope you do as well, John. I actually like to look at charts. So I was looking at charts and I didn't even know what I was looking at. Just, hey, I think it might go up next. Oh, or it might go down next. And I was right. Sometimes it go up, sometimes it would go down, which led me to just do research. And then I stumbled upon a podcast. Robert Prechter was his name. And it was like, he went into a whole spiel about this Elliott wave theory. And I was like fascinated by what he was talking about. And that's what led me to study Elliott wave. Now, I think Prechter's a little over his skis because he's been calling for a huge market downturn and crash for years, but he is an expert at Elliott waves. So I do, still will check in with him from time to time, just on, on YouTube if he has a TMF tank. Oh gosh, just trying to fill that gap we talked about. Wild, it's getting wild right now. But I don't follow his work. I read his book, one of his book. He has like 15 or 20 of them. It's super hard to read an Elliott wave theory book when you don't understand it. So I'm going to have to read it again soon. The first time I read it, I was like, it sounded like a horror. It sounded like Mr. Ed. All right, James Robert, thank you for sharing your inspiring story. I'm curious about YouTube revenue and was wondering if you could provide some general insights. How much can you expect to earn from your videos? I'm considering starting my own channel and love to learn more. You are always inspirational. Just wanted to hear from you. This is a great question because, there are YouTubers out there that are just raking as far as the ad revenue is concerned. I, however, am not one of them. And I will show you that I am not one of them. Which video is this? Because I want to come back to that last question. Let's go to that question first. Then we'll come back. Wait, I'll go to the last two. And then I'll come back, James, and answer your question. A Pip, this might be a Scotty Pip. I've been watching your videos for a while now. I get ideas and inspiration from your videos. I kind of figured by now that you don't trade individual stocks mostly. Absolutely. Can you please talk about all the tickers that you follow daily? And how do you set up your stop losses and such? I tend to be slow on taking profit, and many times it turns from green to red. I watch all of your videos to the end. Wow, thank you so much. That is that's very nice to hear because sometimes in most videos I don't get a lot of views. So that goes to James' question about revenue. I make very little money on YouTube. It really, excuse me, it really ranges from maybe $2 to $10 a week. So what is that? $10 to $40 a month. Seriously, that's it. Has there been some videos that have made way more than others? Yes, but what's way more? One video made $10 instead of a dollar. Yeah. So I haven't made much of anything with regard to ad revenue on YouTube, but there are some that just are absolutely killing it. And I think one of the biggest reasons that one, I just don't have a huge following yet. I don't necessarily want a huge following either because, with that becomes jack wagons that come on and just say goofy things to get a rise out of you. You're really not going to get a rise out of me. I'm just telling you right now, you will not get a rise out of me. It's just, I don't operate that way. I'm not emotional. I'm extremely emotional on the happy side, on the laughing side, on the you only live once. Let's live it to the best of our ability. Love those around you as much as you possibly can. If they do something that upset you, they say something that upsets you, just pause. Just pause for a second before you respond. It will help you so much in life because there's a moment, there's a space between stimulus and response. In that space is your power. In that space is your tranquility, your peace of mind. Because what do you see from most people? They react. Why are most violent criminals always going to repeat going to prison? Is because all they know is react. They do not have the capability to think in that moment. They only react and they do things that get them back into prison and they don't know why. They will blame others. That's another cue for people. If you're around people that blame others for everything, if you can drop them from your life, do it. If you and I can hang around more, our type of people, that's what you must have. So between stimulus and response, there's a space, there's a gap. That in that moment, you take that moment and you will have power. Read Marcus Aurelius. Can't think of the name of his book that I love so much. It's a translation of Marcus Aurelius. It's like his journal notes from when he was actually in the middle of a war. He was a Roman emperor. But if you want another book, and I've mentioned it to you before, The Obstacle is the Way. It's by Ryan Holiday, and he loves Aurelius, and so do I. The Obstacle is the Way is also great for mindset with regard to trading. It has nothing to do with trading. It has a lot to do with life and how we live it. And essentially comes down to only worry about what you can control. Full stop. Don't worry about what others think of you. Don't worry about what others are saying or what else is going on. Control what you can control and let everything else go. Where was I? You were apparently on a soapbox. Okay, so talking about the tickers that I trade, you've seen most of them. I look at silver, I look at silver futures, I look at gold, I look at gold futures, I look at GDX, I look at SLV, I look at GLD, I look at AGQ, but I always know what AGQ is doing based on what SLV and silver are doing, especially futures when it comes to AGQ. I look at oil, USO, UCO. I look at WTI when it comes to oil. I look at IWM as far as an index, S&P 500. I look at SPX when it comes to S&P 500. The Dow, etc. I look at all of those things. I look at yields, bond yields, those all of those things, which isn't a lot when you think about it. Because I used to look at dozens and dozens and dozens and dozens of tickers because they were of individual companies each day, and I just couldn't grasp it. I couldn't wrap my mind around it. And since I've gone down to a very concentrated portfolio, I've done way better than I've ever even anticipated. But now that I'm doing it, can I keep doing it? Because even a blind squirrel can find a nut. So that's the next challenge. Because when we do run up against a bear market, which always happens, can we also make money in a bear market? Now, I've been creating a whole trading plan for the bear market, and I'll be sharing that with you when the time comes. It's not here yet. Yeah, I'm short a couple of metals right now, but it's a very short term trade. At least that's my hope. Humble and thankful. That's what we should all be. That's what this fine person, humble and thankful, says. Grew up poor, but I didn't know it. I didn't really know it either. I wasn't poor. I always tell people, now that I've analyzed it as an adult, I was somewhere between middle class and lower middle class. It was still middle class, excuse me. But I wasn't poor. I always had everything I ever needed, thanks to my mother. Always had clothes on my back, always had food on the table, and had a great neighborhood of friends, a bunch of young guys that were me and my brother's ages. My brother's 4.5 years older than me. We had friends my age and friends his age, and we played sports together all the time. Wonderful way to grow up. And so Humble and Thankful says, a neighbor called our family white trash. I asked my mother, what does that mean? And she would not tell me. We were not white trash, but the neighbor was very nasty. I am the quiet guy next door. Nobody knows I have 2 nickels to rub together, and that's okay. I get some applause, and you deserve some applause because you are humble and you're thankful. And I like to fly under the radar too. I know when you have a YouTube channel where you're showing off your trading portfolio and it has millions of dollars in it, that doesn't seem very humble or discreet, but you don't know me. You know what I mean? I do have some friends and some people that have stumbled upon the channel somehow, and it is a bit embarrassing because, then they're asking me trading advice, and I don't want to give anyone direct trading advice because it can go bad at any time. And then what do they think? They're going to blame you. They're not going to blame themselves, even they're the ones that took the trade. So I talked about all of those. I talked about the minuscule amount of money that I make from ad revenue on the YouTube, and I'll show you, like, for instance, so here's the views. I mean, you could see I barely get any views. 129, 239, 175. Those are like standards. This one is an anomaly, 854. I think we had a nice question in this one as well. Yeah, Mr. J. Cole. Wow, great call out on this one, meaning the silver. This was a silver where I talked about spending $357,120 on silver. That was all in the AGQ. Major home run. What was the logic in making the call? The simple answer is I've been following and studying silver diligently in my trading routine for 1.5 years now, applying the Elliott wave theory and Elliott wave theory and the Fibonacci retracements and extensions. And AGQ has done very well for me over and over again. I've been in and out of it probably 4 complete times. and it's been a winner every single time, and it is a current winner because when we look at the AGQ that just went on Monday or whatever that day was, I think it was Monday. What's today? Thursday, and it's up $72,000. Now I do have a trade against it essentially because I'm covered call. So I'm at a $40 strike. So right now that is $13,650. So you have to basically take this number and subtract that number to look at the current net of that position. But I'm not going to let these go away. And when silver does take a bit of a retracement, I'll either close it or I'll let it expire at full profit. That's the theory right there. Oh, on the silver. So that's it, my friends. It's been a long video again, but I hope you enjoy. If you stick to the end, you and I are probably becoming best friends. Like, subscribe, comment, share this video and this channel with a lovable friend, and I'll see you in the next video.